Welcome to Assembly Calendar. I'm Ted Flint. With us today, Assemblyman Dean Murray, who serves the 3rd Assembly District, which includes Suffolk County. Assemblyman Murray, nice to have you here.
Thanks, Ted.
As we enter a new month, November, by the time this airs, and
right.
Before you know it, it'll be January.
Back in session again.
Back, you know, it goes like that.
It does.
Yeah.
But
just because session is not in as we tape, you've been really busy, as all legislators are usually in the off session. You've been very busy in your district. Why don't you fill us in on what you've been doing?
it's funny because I have a lot of people that come up all the time and say, when are you going back up? When are you back in session?
When are you going back to work? Yeah.
Oh, so you're off.
Yeah, right.
Well, no, we've been very, very busy, and I've accomplished quite a bit lately. One of the big things we just announced about a week or so ago was that finally, after about 50 years of trying, we're taking the fence down around Patchogue Lake, which is
50 years.
Yeah.
Change comes slowly, huh?
It was back in the 50s when they decided, late 50s, early 60s, they decided to put up the fences around Patchogue Lake and West Lake and Swan Lake, and they just put the fences up all over the place. Well, I think probably about 20 years ago, they took down the fences around West Lake and around Swan Lake, but the one at Patchogue Lake has remained up. And unfortunately, once you have the ugly-looking fence up blocking the view, but then you also have vegetation that grows on it, the vines and weeds and everything that grow all along it, and it just blocks the view of the beautiful lake. So it took a case of, and I'll take a page from Governor Cuomo and what we did this year in the Assembly, or I should say in Albany, everybody working together. All levels of government working together, regardless of party, to get things done. And that's what happened in this case. We had the village with the county, with the state, all working together, putting in their little portion. And I got to play quarterback. I was putting it all together. And we were able to accomplish it and get it done. So it's
nice when a plan works out the way you want it to.
It really is. And something that really shouldn't have been that difficult, but it just took so long to get done. We needed to just, roll up the sleeves, get in a room, figure out who's going to do what, and get it done. Yeah. And that's what we were able to do. And we're doing that on quite a few projects.
Yeah, name another one. We talked about this before. The old Plaza Theater was raised recently. That was a chore getting that.
Another big one. That was another one that went from town to county, back to town, and everybody involved, whether it was the Focus East Patchogue Civics Group, the citizens there did an amazing job with this. They would not let this go away. And hats off to them. They really did a great job. But again, it was all levels of government working together to bring it down. And it was, close to 30 years that thing had been abandoned. It had been empty. And so finally got it down. It's gone, cleaned up, and it's on to the next project.
Maybe a business could take its place.
We're hoping. We're hoping that there's quite a few proposals out there that are being considered. So. But at the very least, we got rid of that terrible eyesore.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Let's start. Speaking of businesses coming, there's going to be a supermarket coming to East Patchogue.
That's right.
Residents, I guess, would be happy about this.
No, extremely. It was identified as by the state as a food desert, meaning that we did not have the fresh foods, the supermarkets available within a certain mile radius. I know the folks in Avery Village and some of the apartment complexes nearby. They used to be able to walk to the Swan Common Shopping Center, to the Walbaums that was there. But when they moved, it's been close to 5 years, we have not had a supermarket there. And I'm proud to say that we, just this week, talked to the owners of the shopping center and the owners of a supermarket, and I can't say at this time who that is because the lease has not been signed yet, but I will say that we will have a supermarket in East Patchogue very shortly, and the lease will be signed within a matter of days or maybe a week or so.
Yeah, I wasn't even aware there was such a designation.
Yes, it was actually it was part of the governor's plan called Healthy Foods, and what it would do is it would give incentives to supermarkets to come into areas where they have been identified as food deserts, where they're not getting the nutritional value that they need. Many of those were in the city, believe it or not, but it's based on population, accessibility, and what types of food they have as well. There has to be a certain amount of produce and fresh food, and East Patchogue, once that Walbaum's left and it was dark, you've got a couple of small markets in Bellport. You've got one up in Yaphank, Medford Yaphank, the Stop and Shop on Route 101, and then you have either the Walbaums in North Patchogue or a Pathmark up there, and those are the closest supermarkets.
And how far are they?
Several miles away.
Okay,
several miles away. And like I said, the important thing here is the folks in Avery Village. It's a senior community. And they used to have the freedom to be able to, those that can't drive, there's a path that cuts right through there, and they were able to walk over, do their own shopping, and it emboldened, empowered them. I mean, they were thrilled with that, being able to do that on their own. Unfortunately, once that supermarket left, for those that couldn't drive, they had to rely on a town jitney, and the jitney would take them to a certain, supermarket, whether they liked it or not. And so, I mean, it took away a lot of options, a lot of freedoms for our seniors. And now I'm thrilled to be able to say that they'll have those options and that freedom back.
Very good. Let's discuss a bridge renaming of the LIE. This is quite a story here. Why don't you set this up?
It is. It's we passed legislation this session that we are going to name a bridge overpass at Waverly Avenue and the Long Island Expressway after a brave young girl, Grace Peschker, who died of what they call butterfly disease. Now, they call this butterfly disease because you know how fragile the wings of a butterfly are. That was how fragile her skin was because of this disease. It would literally, if she were to scrape herself or rub too hard, the skin would literally come off. I mean, she'd have abrasions there. So many times she was wrapped in, whether it's gauze or covered up. And this brave little girl just fought for her life. But also, what she did was she would go to school. She would talk to her classmates, explain what it was all about, and she was just so inspiring. And finally succumbed to the disease. But what she was able to do was her case brought such awareness to the disease.
It must be fairly rare.
Extremely rare. But now they actually, I believe, this week that we're taping this is the week where we recognize it. So, but it brought such awareness that they actually set protocol on how to handle infants and young children with the disease based on Grace Peschker.
Let's look at your piece on the Assembly floor on this. So we're back with Assemblyman Dean Murray.
Assembly 7266, Rules Report Number 376. Mr. Murray, an act to amend the highway law.
On a motion by Mr. Murray, the Senate bill is before the House. The Senate bill is advanced. Read the last section.
This act shall take effect immediately.
Record the vote.
On May 17th of 2009, 7-year-old Grace Peschker passed away from a dreadful disease called epidermolysis bullosa, or EB for short. Now, this rare disease affects the skin and the lack of collagen, which is basically the glue that holds the skin together, which means that any abrasion or friction caused her skin to blister or slough off. Now, this disease is sometimes referred to as the butterfly disease because of the fragility of the skin. And when Grace was born, there was no standard for care for newborns with EB. Grace was put through a series of tests that left wounds and scars that never healed. However, through these tests, and because of Grace's courage and perseverance, not only did awareness for this disease reach an all-time high, but there are now protocols in place to provide care immediately after birth for those with even the smallest detection of EB. Now, little Gracie's brave battle against this disease served as an inspiration not only to her local community, Holtsville, New York, but also nationally. You see, it was Grace's case that got then U.S. Senator Hillary Clinton, U.S. Congressman Tim Bishop, Suffolk County Executive Steve Levy, and numerous celebrities involved to help bring more awareness to what they called this orphan disease. Several bills were written in her name to secure funding for research of the disease at NIH in Bethesda, Maryland. Now, while Grace lost her battle with this disease, her family and the community feel that dedicating this bridge in her name will remind those that travel the area not only of her fighting spirit, but also of the need to keep up the fight against this dreadful disease. So I ask all of my colleagues today if you could please support me in this and keep the memory of little Grace alive for us. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Are there any other votes? Announce the results.
Ayes 105, noes 0.
Bill is passed.
There is more to this sad story. The governor signed it into law, and then you can pick it up from
The governor signed it into law in September, and I was actually on the road when I found out, so I immediately picked up the phone and I called Gracie's father and let him know, that it has been signed into law, and we will in fact be naming the overpass for his daughter. He was virtually in tears. because he wanted this badly. We found out later that it was less than 2 weeks after my conversation with him that he passed away himself at the age of 38.
That's unbelievable. That's
it is,
bad.
But
at least he saw before he passed.
Exactly.
He saw that signed into law.
He did, and he was extremely grateful to everyone in the state of New York for all the support that they showed to his daughter and to his family. And again, our thoughts and prayers are with the Peshker family and Mrs. Peshker, who we will see when we do the dedication ceremony.
Which will be, again, when?
It's coming up within the next few weeks. We haven't set the exact date yet, but it's coming up very, very shortly. The replica sign has been made, and the State Department of Transportation will in fact erect the sign on the Long Island Expressway itself, coming up to the bridge. But again, it's our chance to say, say a few prayers and everything for Mrs. Peshker as well.
Okay, very good. Let's talk. We got about 3 minutes left. Let's talk about economic development, specifically EDC meeting or hearing you're at today.
Right. We had a hearing today, and it was basically regarding the wine industry and shipping and shipments of wine, reciprocal agreements with other states. Right now, we currently have reciprocal agreements with 15 other states, but we ship to 38 other states all across the country. And the reason for the hearing today was to look at the laws that were put into place back in 2005 and 2006 regarding the shipment and oversight involved in that, and to see, is it working, is it helping? Some of the statistics we came out with and the information we came out with is it has been extremely helpful to the wineries in that it has increased their business tremendously. But it also, we were able to expose a few shortcomings that we need to hone up and tighten up, and rules that are in place that I think need to be maybe on a national level, as far as the shipment itself, to make sure that we're not getting it into the hands of minors and things of that nature.
Why not ship to 49 states? Why 38? Maybe you already explained why.
No. Some of them, it was a Supreme Court decision that actually really opened this up. I believe in 2005. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. 2004, 2005. But it was a Supreme Court decision there that opened it up, because what was happening was each individual state would have their own set of laws. And then, if you were shipping from this one to this one, the laws might be different over here. So we had to shore them up, and the Supreme Court ruling actually made it so the states are saying, okay, we either all play by the same rules or we don't play at all. So if you're going to ship, the rules apply everywhere you're shipping to, or it doesn't. Well, there's some states that right now just don't. Or there were some states that their laws in the state did not comply with ours, so it didn't match up. So we can't accept the agreement right now.
I understand.
So
all right.
it gets a little complicated, but it does make sense, that we make sure that we're on the same page a lot of times when we're doing this. And there were examples that we showed, that were shown in the hearing today, of maybe a box being shipped to someone in New York from a winery from another state that didn't follow the proper protocol in marking that there was wine inside. It must be signed for by a person 21 years of age or older.
Yeah.
There are certain rules that have to be abided by, and sometimes they're not.
That could get messy.
Right.
In that instance.
So this was nice to kind of brief us and let us know, where we can focus some energies to tighten things up. But overall, it was good news, I think.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe more on the next show. You're also going to talk about tourism. We're out of time.
I love that.
Yeah.
But you combine the wineries and tourism, you're
winning combination.
There you go.
The least. If you want to get in touch with Assemblyman Dean Murray, you can do that by calling him at his district office. That number is going to be right in front of you shortly. There it is, 631-207-0073. Dean Murray, nice to see you as always.
Thanks, Ted.
All right. We'll see you soon on Assembly Calendar. I'm Ted Flynn.